My name's Kevin. I live in Crewe. I'm full-time dad and carer, and that took over my life about 7 years ago from quite a busy, hectic job. I have a child with special needs and disabilities, and he needed a lot of looking after. So yeah, my life was turned on its head about 7 years ago, and I suppose therein starts a lot of the problems. So before I joined MEE-FIT, I think lapsed into a very sedentary lifestyle from being, quite active. I think, I used to do regular, hill walking, and up mountains, not just flats. I used to do all sorts of other sports over the years. But I think with having to take on role of carer, time becomes a lot more limited. So those things that you typically enjoy doing kind of fall a little bit by the wayside, which is unfortunate, but necessary at the time, because you've got to learn to adapt to a different way of living and having to be. Your priorities change. Like a lot of people, I guess, I've got my own aches and pains, old injuries that have occurred over the years that leave me a little bit less mobile, a bit stiff maybe, quite lethargic, lacking in energy, not as physically strong, or as I suppose lacking in endurance. And when you're trying to look after a child full time, that can be extremely challenging. That's not a good place to be, because it's just your cup is already half empty and it drains really, really fast. So yeah, like a lot of people, I guess, lots of little tiny things built up over a long period of time, and they all mount up to a big problem. This is my first gym. This is my first real experience. I've never considered myself to be a gym person, and that's not because I've tried loads and just don't like it. It's my perception of the gyms that I've seen about and how I think they sort of operate, and the way that people sort of interact with the gym. I don't like the thought of going somewhere where I'm surrounded by a lot younger people who are a lot physically more fit, loads of mirrors to preen and look at yourself and think, oh, don't like the look of that. So it's never really, I suppose mentally, it's never really fit with me. And I stumbled across this. I'd seen the adverts on Instagram, loads of times before I made inquiries. I'm so glad that I did, because this is nothing like my perception of the gyms that you see locally to where I live, which are a bit robotic, full of really young people who just, good for them. They're trying to make themselves look even better, and that's not really for me. This is surrounded by people who are like-minded. We all suffer with various things, but we all have a good laugh. We support each other, and it's just a completely different perception. And it's like your logo kind of goes more than just a gym, and it absolutely is. I contacted and inquired, and within a couple of days, I think Dan had got back to me, and we'd arranged a chat over the phone. Of course, I'm ever this skeptic of things that I can't see and touch and feel. And it was because it was all done kind of remotely. It was a little bit not really sure about this, but it wasn't pushing or anything like that. It was just you came across as a real genuine guy. And from that point, it's like, well, okay, I'll sign up for 3 months. Wasn't yet convinced that I was going to stick at it, because I'm not a gym person. And I've been here over 12 months now, so
I'm a gym person now?
I'm a gym person. I'm this type of gym person, not necessarily any other kind of gym. My biggest achievement, well, let's start out with my goal when I started was to lose weight. And I have not failed, but I haven't achieved what I set out to do. But it quickly became apparent, I think, that actually my goal was just set completely wrong. Weight loss was never, in hindsight, what I was trying to do. It was the only way I could, I suppose, quantify and articulate what I wanted to do. So I've kind of ditched that now. Yes, weight loss is good. And yes, I've lost 7 kilos, which doesn't sound like a lot. But that's 13 kilos of fat and gained on 5 kilos of muscle. So this is why I can't lose weight very quick, because it's my body composition that's changing. My shape is changing, my clothes fit, and there's a better indicator than anything that something's working right. But my percentage body fat has dropped by about 6 or 7%, I think, in the last 12 months. The visceral fat level that your in-body scanner measures has dropped from 18 to 14. That's pretty good to my way of thinking. muscle mass has gone up. It's and my harder to quantify, I guess, my level of cardiovascular fitness. Now, I know that's changed because I would have never been able to have entertained going on one of your ski machines and been able to do a kilometre in about 4.5 minutes. 12 months ago, that would have killed me, but, I can do it. I think I've still got some challenges with my body weight. I do struggle with some of the exercises because my muscle strength isn't quite there yet to haul how much I weigh. Chin-ups, press-ups, things like that. But I think I've significantly achieved a lot of things that I didn't realise I was going to be able to achieve, and I feel loads better for it. It's a massive improvement in my own physical fitness and strength. I never used to sleep particularly well. I prefer to worry about the quality of my sleep rather than the duration. The duration that I sleep is limited by a child with needs. The quality of sleep is affected by me, what I eat, what I drink, how much exercise I've had, what's been going on in my day, how active my brain is at the end of the day, things like that. And typically it would be, I might be mentally exhausted, but physically not. Now I've got the balance a little bit more in line with each other, so I can go to bed at night and feel nicely tired, if there's a way of this, if you can say it like that. Right. So your right amount of tired. So I don't feel overtired mentally. I don't feel physically exhausted. I just feels right, and so my sleep's better. So whilst I might only get 6 hours sleep, 7.5 if I'm lucky, I know that that's been decent sleep, and that'll keep me going all day. Your time is a key thing that you're always trying to juggle, and it's got a little bit easier with him being in school full time now, which when he first started, that wasn't the case. So I have a window of opportunity throughout the day, which enables me to take the time out. It's intrusion free, if you like, so I can spend the time coming to the gym, although I have a limited time within that window to be able to come to the gym. So, I can't necessarily get full advantage of some of the sessions, but I can at least do it. And then by the time I've left here, I feel loads better. First session of the week is the one I hate the most because I'm trying to recover from a weekend which could have been full on. So I come in with lots more aches and pains on a Monday or whatever day the first session that I come into is, so I don't necessarily look forward to it, but I force myself to come, and at the end of it, I know full well I'm going to be loads better, and then I can carry on my day as normal. It's been a real game changer for me in a lot of ways. What do I love the most about MEE-FIT? I would say it's like the camaraderie that there is here. It isn't a gym with instructors and people. I would say there's more of a family kind of vibe to it. So everyone over time gets to know each other. You encourage each other. Everyone's encouraged. You're well supported, by the coaches. You can have a laugh. You can, you lay your hair down and talk about rubbish half the time, or just general chit chat. It's not always about fitness and stuff, but I know through my own experiences with Emily, is that if there's something that I need to know or want to know how to improve or whatever, I can just go and ask. I've had issues when I've been doing sit-ups and things, and like my guts look like they're about to burst out, an alien kind of popping out. And I spoke about that before. What do I do to try and help get that back into where it needs to be, so I'm not worrying about overexerting. But the other thing that I like is that I'm quite reluctant to push myself, and that's through my own fears of doing too much, hurting myself, and then not being able to do what I need to do when I'm back at home. But the coaches here know that that's me and can see that there's more to be given, and will push and push. Not hard, little steps, but in doing that, I've been able to lift more than I thought I was able to do, and within a relatively short period of time. But if it had been left to myself to do that, probably wouldn't have happened. It's an encouragement. It's absolutely not a pressure. I welcome it actually, because it's pushing me to achieve what I am able to achieve, which I would not push myself to do for reasons as I've explained. But it's always there. You've always been not scrutinised, but I'd say healthily monitored. Is this person getting the best out of what they can do? Are they pushing themselves a little bit more to get that little bit extra to enable that extra bit of improvement that will come next week as a result of doing it this week? And the guys here, they're excellent at doing that. Couldn't couldn't fault a single one of them. It's one of the reasons why I still come here. And I've said this to Dan, I've said it to others. In terms of there's two ways of looking at how much you spend on something like this. You either spend £30-40 a month and go to a local gym that you've got nobody looking out for you, you're left to your own devices, and you end up not going because it's just like, wow, it's a bit boring and no one really to talk to, or this, blah, 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 blah. That to me is a cost, because that would cost me £40 a month. I'd get absolutely nothing out of it. Whereas, you come here and yes, it's more, but that's not a cost because there's a benefit. And the benefit for me significantly outweighs the outlay. So I wholeheartedly look at my membership here as being a huge investment. It's an investment in me, and because of what it is, I'm absolutely accountable for getting the most out of it. So it kind of forces the issue a little bit. I either do waste it or I make the most of it. And by making the most of it, I get all the benefit. After being here for a period of time, and particularly when I moved from my 3-month trial period into proper membership, it absolutely makes sense. Because I've done all those things myself. I get, train sessions a week, for what I pay. But then I've got full access to the gym. But those two weight sessions, strength sessions, if you like, which is really what my money's paying for, because that's where the coaches provide all the one-to-one input. Add all that up, over the course of a month, and that probably, if I went and just had a personal trainer helping me with something like that, it cost me a lot more than what I paid to come here, and that wouldn't necessarily include the cost of actually going to a gym. So in the round, it's cheaper, but ultimately I think it's loads better. It's much more easy to get the benefits out of it.
If you could give Kev that was about to start, who was a bit tentative, a piece of advice, what would you tell him?
I would say to him, just do it. That's the simplest way I can explain it. And, this is a conversation I've had with Dan. I've probably had it with you as well before, just when we spoke. It's like, people just need to start. It's just like any journey. It always starts with the first step, and it's the hardest one to take. But once you take it, well, there you go. You're off. And within a very quick period of time, you can really start to feel the benefits, see them, feel better, be much more positive in the way that you view your own physical health and well-being. At the end of the day, the only person responsible for my health and well-being is me. And if I don't take that responsibility, then I'm just going to end up looking like a crumpled dishcloth and feeling like one. And that is that's the long and the short of it. It's, you get out, you do something, you feel better, you live better, you last longer. That's just the way I look at it. And otherwise, if I just want to sit on my bum and watch the telly all day, then that's my lookout, isn't it? And probably not the best place to be. I sort of know that because I've been there. Deciding to take on a full membership here has absolutely been one of the best things I've done. Certainly in terms of my own health. Like I said, you're well looked after. You get pushed to do better all the time. You get supported when you're struggling. You get encouraged, not just by the staff here, but by all the other people that join in. And you meet so many different people that have got, issues of themselves, hip replacements, overweight, age. I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm fairly certain I'm one of the youngest.
Let's say you're in
I've got to be sort of like in the bottom, at least bottom half. But it's amazing. That's a really good spirit to encapsulate in a gym like this. And the other thing that I kind of like is to me it's quite, can I say, old school. It's kind of got an old school kind of mentality about it, and it's just nice. It's refreshing. It's welcoming. It's friendly. There's any of those good positive descriptive words that you can come up with. It's just they're there. Just bung them all into the melting pot, and that to me is what MEE-FIT is.